Good to keep talking. We don't need to start hard start yet.
Yeah, but that just sucks. I hope no one I hope none of our friends were affected by the fires over in Canton last night at 2:30.
Yeah.
So
I had somebody ask for a chicken Caesar wrap at work yesterday with no lettuce. That kind of pissed me off.
take the lobster without the tail.
Yeah.
What?
Hey, do you want chicken and croutons in a tortilla? Okay.
What a fucking weirdo.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
ended up just getting a chicken sandwich instead.
All right, I need some last minute. Hold on, I gotta pulling up Instagram now. So what'd you guys do over the weekend?
Work.
Besides work.
Yeah.
Fucked my thumb up, played some golf.
Why don't you tell us about that story?
Played 90 holes. Played 90 holes of golf in 4 days, which is too many holes of golf, if you're wondering. Yeah. We had our member guest at Glenn Riddle down here in Ocean City last weekend, and Thursday was our practice round. So we played an 18-hole practice round, and then you have a par 3 contest. On like the 4th hole of the par 3 contest, I flubbed a chip. I got frustrated. I went like, damn it, like this with my 56 degree. Stopped myself right here. It hinged in the middle of the grip and just bent. And the thing sliced my thumb open. The momentum of the club head kept going and hit me right in the nards. And I collapsed, and I was down for quite a while. So yeah, that sucked right before our member guest. Luckily, it didn't affect my game. I ended up playing a lot better than I normally do. So I think maybe my left thumb is my problem with my golf swing.
That's exactly what it is.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really, really awful way to start the week. But yeah.
All right. Well, let's fire away with another episode of Gary Williams. Go ahead.
Are you live, Brooks?
Not quite. I'm finishing up.
Instagram. Yeah.
Finishing up Instagram Live right now.
We can start. We don't have to necessarily go straight live on Instagram. All right. We're just going to start with a little rundown. Welcome to another episode of Gary Williams Stole My Lawn Furniture. We're going to talk some Orioles like we always do at the top. We're going to talk some other MLB stuff before we go into the College World Series, the golf tournament this weekend, the protesters that were there. We're going to do, like we do every week, we're going to do our That's a Shame segment. And then we're going to do a snake draft at the end, a little teaser that's going to be fictional athletes. So if you want to stick around for that. Yeah, Orioles, a little bit of a rough week. We're 49-29, second in the AL East, still 2 games back of the Yankees. Luckily, the Yankees have been struggling a little bit too as of late, but we're in the midst of a 4-game losing streak, which is the longest one we've had all year. What do you guys think has been the cause of this particular skid, or do you think this is just kind of a bump in the road in a long season?
I'm going to sit back. You and Brooks talk about this. I didn't really have an opportunity to watch too much Orioles over the weekends. I don't know if it was pitching struggles or hitting struggles. So I'm not going to really be able to bring a lot to the table, unfortunately. This week.
What fucking good are you? Yeah, sorry, I'm still in the middle of getting this shit ready.
Oh, that's okay. I can talk first if you want.
Go for
it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it started off promising. We beat the Yankees 2-1 with the back half of our pitching staff, and then we kind of had our top guys going against the Astros, and we just couldn't get it done. Burns had, I guess, his worst outing of the season, which was like a 7 innings, 4 runs earned or something, which for him this year has been pretty substandard. But yeah, I mean, I think the Astros are just a really good team, and I think they're starting to get hot. They've won 5 or 6 straight now, including our series. And I think it's just one of those things where this kind of thing is going to happen. Obviously, it didn't happen for us for a long time with the no sweep streak that we were on for a long time. But yeah, I think we just kind of ran into a really good team. They're playing at home, and the bats still were putting up some runs, but the pitching staff struggled a little bit. Suarez has looked like pretty shaky actually in his last couple of starts, so I'm starting to get a little worried about him.
I think that's why I didn't watch one of the games specifically, because I think Suarez gave up like 4 runs in the first inning, and he was getting tattooed on everything he was throwing, to the point that I almost thought he was tipping pitches.
Yeah, when I was watching, I said it last night in the group chat. It looks like the book on the Orioles right now is to jump early in the count, because people are swinging out of their fucking shoes and making real hard contact early in the count. Starting with that, the first game of the Astros series, which was just a slugfest. So yeah, between that, walking too many people, the bats kind of went quiet there after game 1. Yeah, the guy's got to be tired, and I also think that after the Yankees series, which we can talk about as well as a positive and everything that happened there, since we missed that as well. I think they were just mentally exhausted after. Mentally and probably physically exhausted after that Yankees series. Yeah, I'm not too worried. I don't love that it kind of continued into last night as well. But with the recent schedule that we had in June, I don't blame that these guys are probably exhausted. Now pitching's kind of getting run down a little bit too, obviously. So yeah, I'm not too terribly. I'm not going to freak out about it. Do I love what's going on right now? No, but yeah, like I said, the book on the Orioles right now, since that Astros, and maybe they saw something in the Yankees series, is to jump early in the count. If you see something you can hit, swing at it. It seems like a lot of people are getting a lot of hits early on in the count and hitting balls hard early in the count. And then on the flip side, there was just a couple too many walks when they're not getting those pitches. So,
yeah, I think that's a good observation. Altuve took the first pitch of the game against, I think, Suarez over the fence. So, I don't know how many times he's done that in his career, but probably over 100, it seems like. Yeah, I don't know. Like Brooks said, I think it's just a little bit of a midseason skid. Obviously, it's scary right now because our pitching staff is kind of dropping like flies. And Dean Kramer coming back didn't look great in his rehab start. We'll get back to that. But look, losing to the Astros, losing to Cleveland, these are really good teams. Yeah, the Astros had a bad start, but they're a really good team. They've been around for a long time. They've been to 7 straight ALCSs, so they know how to win. And they're going to be there at the end of the year, I think. And then, yeah, the game against Cleveland last night, 2-2, and then Jose Ramirez takes I can't remember who was pitching at the time, but goes yard. Jose Ramirez, I want to talk about, is one of the most underrated players in the league. He's got 7 20 home run seasons, which is second behind only Jim Thome in Cleveland Cleveland Guardians history. And in 6 of his last 8 seasons, he's finished top 10 in MVP voting. Just one of the super quiet dudes who puts up 30 home runs and 20 some steals every year, plays great third base, and people don't talk about him because there's superstars above him like Machado and Arenado, but just super consistent player. I really like watching him play.
Yeah, he also thinks he's better than Barry Bonds. He had some quote like, because they're comparing a lot of his stats to Barry Bonds, which is fair. You can compare the stats all you want at the time in the career that they're in, but I forget the exact quote that he said. He said something to the effect of like, yeah, but you guys ain't seen me yet, or something like that. I forget what it was.
Yeah. I like that confidence though, dude. You got to think you're the best player in the league. Kierstad's back up, called up for the third time. Went 2 for 4, hit a double last night. Nick Maton got DFA'd. I think this is weird just because Stowers was playing really well with the big league roster. Obviously, Kierstad's been putting up crazy numbers in AAA all year. What do you guys think about the Kierstad Stowers kind of like minor league, major league juggling that's going on so far this year?
It's what we talked about earlier in the year. There's going to be a
Right.
train going to and from Norfolk all year, and this is just the nature of being the young guys on the roster, or rosters. It doesn't surprise me one bit. I mean, they're going to ride hot hands, which is surprising with the Stowers stuff, but they're both hot. Which one do you think has more power? Maybe Heston being a lefty, maybe there's a matchup situation they see coming up here in the next couple of days.
Yeah.
I mean,
Stowers
I'm
is
not
also left-handed.
Yeah, I'm not terribly surprised either. Especially with, I mean, Heston's killing was killing it and down in AAA. So I'm agreeing with Brian. I saw a lot of people saying that they think this is them bringing him up to heat up his trade bait a little bit. Who knows? But yeah. I mean,
you can say that about anybody.
Yeah. Either way, I don't care. I mean, I like Stowers' defense better, obviously. But I mean, I love Kierstad too. I mean, so I don't know. I don't really have a terrible. I don't swing one way or the other on this. I don't hate it. I don't love it. Whatever. I mean, whoever's hitting the ball better at this point, I don't really care.
Yeah. I have some who's hot and who's not stuff listed here. Cedric Mullins in his last 15 games has a 308 average and 52 at bats, so that's good. It's promising. He's starting to hit the ball a little bit better, maybe starting to see the ball a little bit better. Tony Taters is just going absolutely bananas this month. Has 13 home runs in his last 30 games. Just when he gets hot, he's so fun to watch, and he's so clutch. It seems like when it's 2 outs and there's a couple guys on base, it feels like he's always going to get a hit. Austin Hayes has been great. We've talked about that ad nauseum. He's getting less at bats because he's playing a little bit less, kind of matchup dependent still, but he's hitting 342 in his last 30 games. So maybe try to get his bat in the lineup a little bit more. And Adley, just Mr. Consistent, just hitting 306 last 30 games. He's got 5 homers, got a ton of RBIs. Just so good at the plate, so disciplined. I just love watching his at bats because he almost never swings at the first pitch, but he's just he's so smart about the zone and so good about working counts. So yeah, I love watching him hit.
Starting to walk again
for guys
too.
who are not very, for guys who are not very hot right now, Colton Cowser in his last 90 at-bats, last 30 games, hitting 169. He struggled since his real hot start, but he had some underlying numbers that were promising, that he was hitting the ball hard and getting kind of unlucky. It's starting to seem like he's just not seeing the ball quite as well as he was earlier in the year, but we'll see. Hopefully he can get his thing going again, because obviously he's super talented, and we saw a little bit of what he can do early in the season. And Mateo, since he came back from Mullins hitting him in the head, sorry, Brian, I'll let you go after this. In his last 44 at-bats, hitting 182, and that's in his last 15 games. We know Mateo is not the premier offensive talent, but he gets hot at certain times, and right now is one of those times where he's just not. Brian, you had something to say about Colton.
Yeah, maybe going back to the Stowers conversation and couple that with the Cowser situation. Maybe this is where you see Colton Cowser maybe take a little bit of a break, take a couple of days off, and you get Stowers go ahead and play.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Especially, I mean, we got Hayes and Kierstad's up right now. I mean, so who knows? I don't disagree with that at all. Cole looked like he was starting to get hot again when he hit that bomb at Camden. That was like 450 feet or whatever it was, and hitting the ball real hard after Toronto and everything, but then kind of went quiet again.
This is Mateo's MO. He goes real hot, real cold, real hot, real cold.
Yeah. Tony Taters does this. Yeah.
Are we talking about Mateo? Or are we talking about
both of them, really?
Okay. We're
talking about both of them, really. Yeah. Try to multitask. Brooks. Keep up.
I got ADD. I can't keep up.
Mateo reminds me of like his hot streaks, and even Tony Tater's to an extent, actually probably more. Mark Reynolds comparison would be smoking the ball.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Danny Valencia too. There was a couple months where I don't think I ever saw Danny Valencia get out. It's just getting hits every time he came up. We'll push on to Cade Povich. We've seen Cade Povich start 4 games now for us. He's got an 0-2 record, but he's got a 4.15 ERA, 21 and 2/3 innings. So he's going a little over 5 innings, 5 1/3, 5 2/3 a start. Pitched decent the other night, last night. Didn't end up winning. Obviously, gave up 3 runs. But yeah, what have you guys seen from him in his first couple starts? Have you liked what you see, or haven't seen much?
Other than the statistics you provided here, I don't have any splits on him. But for a guy who just came up, it seems like he's doing a pretty decent job. Now the league will adjust, like we always know. It always happens, but for hitting and pitching. But right now, I mean, I've got a positive feeling about him.
I would say I like what I'm seeing out of him. It doesn't seem like a ton of people can get. He keeps people off balance. Like people can't get a good read on him. It doesn't seem like a lot of people barrel the ball up. The one thing I do want to see is, I mean, if he could lower those walks, man, he could go a lot further and obviously give up a couple less runs. He's walking way too many people, and I don't know if that's just because he's nibbling, because that's kind of what he does for lack of, I mean, just because he doesn't throw as hard as everybody else. So he kind of has to be a little bit more precise. So, but yeah, I would like to see him lower his walks.
Well, yeah. I also think, because this is absolutely imperative to the Baltimore Orioles, we're getting Ben McDonald back now that the College World Series is over. So I think we are absolutely going to start kicking ass. So,
oh my God, we haven't even put this in the rundown, but let's talk for a minute about how Dave Johnson has ruined the Orioles season. Oh my God, get this guy off of our fucking televisions. He is so bad.
Is he 0 for right now calling games?
I don't know. I hate him.
He's been on since the Astros. Obviously, we got swept. He called it again last night. We lost. I don't know if he did any other ones this season, but he is 0 for his last 4.
If the Orioles keep analytics on this, they're disgusting and they are way overthinking everything.
Did you see the graphic that the all 4 guys who've gotten Tommy John for us were all wearing City Connects when it happened? Means, Wells, Batista, and Bradish were all wearing City Connect jerseys when they went out of their games and ended up having to get Tommy John.
I hope they keep analytics on that. Wow.
Shout out Drew and Hannah.
Drew and Hanny. Yeah.
Drew and Hanny.
Annie.
Yeah, I mean, Annie. Brian, something to think about. Something to think about.
Yeah, dude. Something to think about.
Sure. I'm not real stitious.
He's a little.
I'm a little stitious.
Yeah, so we talked about it a little bit last week. We didn't have the official news, but Bradish did have Tommy John last week. This does kind of put his season next year in jeopardy. Maybe he could make a late season push if he has a really nice speedy recovery. But obviously, I don't think the Orioles are going to be pushing him back after kind of what happened in the early part of this season. This really sucks. It looked like he was coming back into his Cy Young caliber form early parts of the year, and then we've talked about it for weeks that he just didn't look super comfortable. Brooks was mentioning he was doing this on the mound, which is also the telltale sign that your elbow is not in the right place. I think this sucks. I don't really know what else to say about it.
It sucks. Whenever you're starting to do this, it's usually, I mean, every time we see like somebody who goes out with like a strained forearm or something, like you all automatically start thinking now like elbow. But like when you're doing this, something's not comfortable in your forearm, or you're trying to get some kind of feeling in your fingers again. That was a problem that I had for a while. and it's just whenever you're flexing like this, you're trying to work something out, or something doesn't feel right, or something doesn't feel comfortable, or it hurts, or I mean, he always shakes. Like, I think that's pretty normal for pitchers to shake. So that wasn't something that I was terribly worried about. But when he starts doing this a lot and he's trying to, I mean, it's just not good.
Danny Coulomb, who was probably our best reliever in the early part of the season, had surgery to remove bone chips from his left elbow, his pitching elbow. It's not expected to take him out for the season. They're saying he's probably going to be ready come September. I don't know how this kind of thing works. I don't know how you can get bone chips removed from your elbow and be pitching in the Major League Baseball 2 months later, but I'm cool if he's going to be good to come back. That sounds great, because we need all the help we can get in the bullpen. And he's been our best guy the last couple of years, it feels like.
Yeah, this is good because this is relatively minor. It's just kind of like a cleanup thing. Like, obviously not a doctor or anything like that, and I don't know if this is a good comparison or not, but I like to compare it to like when somebody in football goes in and gets their knee cleaned up or scoped or something like that. It's not a season ender, but it's definitely going to be a couple weeks to come back. So I mean, that's a good thing for us. So, and I think
we better get a bigger bullpen or a bigger dugout, because we're gonna have all these injured dudes in there because they still stay with the team. Like John Means is in there with a bionic arm, and then you're bringing up new guys. We're gonna run out of seats. It's gonna look like a hockey bench.
Yeah, but I love to see it. I love that we have that culture that they want to be around. They want to be there to support their teammates. I do love that.
That's a very good point.
We're gonna have to push some of the bench coaches down the tunnel towards the locker room and let them stand in the tunnel and get to watch.
Get the police officers out of the dugout.
Yeah. Dean Kramer coming back from an injury, doesn't make it out of the first inning. In his most recent rehab start, he threw 39 pitches, got 2 outs. 2 guys took him deep. He gave up 5 runs. I read a CBS Sports article this morning that says he is unlikely to be activated this week. So we're looking at least another week without Kramer. Obviously, I would assume after that bad outing, they want to get him at least one more rehab start in AAA, get his confidence back going. These kind of starts happen. I'm not super worried about it unless it becomes a trend. So we'll see. Hopefully, the best news is that he doesn't seem to be injured on his way back. So trust his stuff as long as he's feeling healthy coming back.
I wish somebody could give us like a update on like what his velos were looking like. Was he missing spots? Is he not throwing a ton of strikes? Like, I wish we could get more than just the stat line.
There's got to be something out there. There's got to be someone on Twitter, one of the minor league guys, one of the people down in Florida.
I'm sure the information's out there. It's just more difficult to find, obviously, because it's not on a bigger stage. It's in AAA,
Yeah.
Upcoming schedule, we're kind of wrapping up the Orioles stuff. We'll talk a little bit more about it as we talk about the MLB, around the MLB. But upcoming schedule, we got 2 more versus Cleveland. We got 4 at home for Texas. Do we think this is a revenge series for Texas? They're coming back to our place after sweeping us in the playoffs last year.
Well, I mean, if it's they're all going to try hard one way or the other. If it's this, this is what you need to do it, then fine, fuck it, go for it. But use whatever you need for motivation.
I mean, both teams get paid, right? I hopefully I don't think. I mean, do I think the Orioles really care that much at this point in the season? Probably not. I think they have more animosity towards the Yankees with all the bullshit that went on. And I don't think that's really a rivalry. I think that was more we kind of let ourselves down than they came out and pissed us off and did shitty stuff and they just beat us. So
Yep.
I don't think there's any animosity there for like a get back game. I do want to touch on a little bit more. Dustin is go ahead before we.
No, you go. What do you want to touch on?
I was going to say, let's touch on more about the Yankee series. Since we didn't have a podcast since then. We've kind of been talking a lot about the bad recently. Let's go back to that series a little bit because I mean, obviously a lot of drama in that series going on. I thought my thoughts on it were as far as all the beanball was going on. I think it was pretty obvious that Suarez did not have his command that day. He hit him on a 1-2 count. I just don't see any intention there. It just makes no sense for obviously, like, Judge is gonna be pissed off. If I got hit in the hand, I would be pissed off just because it fucking hurts, and I could be out for the season with a broken hand, or however long, depending on what it is. Because your hands and your wrist take a while to come back, especially swinging a bat and getting your power back. I don't think I think it got blown out of proportion, and I'm kind of, now that I'm looking back, because I was pissed off too about the comments by the Yankees players after the game, especially with Nestor coming out and saying like they don't like the way that the Orioles pitch, even though he pitches inside all the time too and up and in. And I get, like he said, it was part of the game. I don't think Judge's comments were that bad. People took that kind of out of context, I feel like. I think he just said what was on his mind, in terms of like, yeah, he was upset. I would be upset too. I don't think he was upset at the moment that they were interviewing him. I think they were asking him about, like, was he upset when he got hit? Like, yeah, I mean, it fucking hurts. Like, everyone gets pissed off when they get hit. It sucks. Especially when it hurts, unless you get hit in the ass or something. So Nestor is really the one that pissed me off a little bit, and how he reacted. I don't think Judge did anything wrong. At first, like I said, I did think that pissed me off a little bit because I took it out of context too. But looking back on it, I think he was answering the question like he should have. Yes, he was pissed off at the moment. He was being truthful. Do I think he was pissed off about them throwing it in? No, he understands it's part of the game. But I don't think it merited a retaliation, especially going. I mean, let's call a spade here. Like they've hit the most batters in the league. Going into that next game after Judge got hit, they had hit 9 of our players to us hitting 3 of theirs on the season. So, and they went they didn't go head hunting, but they threw up and in where Henderson had to duck out of the way in the last series, and we didn't retaliate. So kudos to the Orioles for the way that they responded, because I had said something in the group chat that Hyde needed to get rung at one point, and I was pissed off. And I mean, they responded to perfection, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I think they showed a lot of maturity. I think, using their playing baseball to I don't know what I'm saying right now. I'm lost. I think they showed a lot of maturity by the way they responded, by not coming out and shitting on the Yankees and throwing at them again. They just went out, handled their business, played ball, and won the games. And that's how they retaliated. And I love that Gunnar scored, and that's the reason we were able to get to extra innings in that game. Fuck you, Aaron Boone. Brian's been saying it all year. You're going to lose games doing stupid shit like that. And look at Brian. He's got a big grin on his face with first base.
Yay.
That's why I got nothing to add here. You guys said it all you need to say, and I'm not going to keep beating the Aaron Boone dead horse. No, I will. Fuck Aaron Boone. They're gonna lose. And by the way, this isn't a personal attack at Aaron Boone, as you know. Yeah, I don't like him as a baseball manager. It's very simplistic. I'm sure he's a very nice man who takes care of his family, but I just think he's a terrible baseball manager, and he should not even have this job right now. I'm miffed by how he's still employed.
Yeah, and like I said again, I think the media and I think the internet really stirred up that stuff more than it needed to be, and it worked out in our favor because, I mean, they retaliated. At least it seemed like they did. I don't think every one of those hit by pitches after that was intentional, but the Gunnar one sure seemed like it. And he responded perfectly. That one, I don't think all of them were. I think they hit 2 more batters after that, and I would say probably not on purpose. But Gunnar pissed off. Yeah, it hurt. He got hit in the center of the back. He could have charged the mound there, like Bryce Harper or something early in his career, Manny Machado early in his career. He could have thrown his bat at the. He could have done a number of different things. Started screaming. Just took his base, pissed off, stole second on him. Said, you know what, fuck you. I'm going to go ahead and steal second, get myself in scoring position. Found a way to get in. It was honestly I was so proud of how they responded to that for such a young ball club.
Especially when Gunnar, every time he takes a walk, looks like he wants to murder the opposing pitcher for not throwing him strikes.
Well, when you have a mustache,
throws it back at the dugout.
When you have, Wyatt Earp's facial hair, I mean, yeah, he's going to look pissed at all times. He probably eats his cereal looking pissed off. Let's move on to Willie Mays. You want to do that?
Yeah. That's
R.I.P. Willie Mays.
Yeah.
It sucks. I think he had like 660 some home runs. Obviously, just one of the greatest baseball players who ever lived. I think in anybody's top 5, top 10, he's going to be on it. Huge ambassador for the game. Just sucks losing these guys. It seems like we're losing a lot of sports legends in the last few weeks, and this is just another one. And R.I.P. Willie Mays. Hopefully, him and his family are condolences to his family, and hopefully he's at peace now. Yeah, but you guys have anything to talk about with Willie?
Yeah, I'll go. Obviously, we know a lot about Willie Mays. Know a lot of the stat lines, how good of a player he was. But I did learn a couple extra things about him, given that there's been a lot of, the spotlight has been on him because of the passing. He was on deck when the shot heard around the world was hit by Bobby Thompson. I didn't know that.
Wow.
And I watched they keep showing the infamous catch. And when I watched it, because I always never paid, you just see the great catch. I didn't know that he held the runner back in the infield when he turns and throws wildly. He actually, it is reported that it did not bounce, which also makes old school video great, because now we got 78 camera angles. We'd be able to tell it's just a myth, it's a lore. It's kind of like Babe Ruth pointing. Is that true or not? But he apparently held the runner, and then they ended up winning that game by 1 run.
Held him on first, right?
Held him on first. Yeah, he did not. The runner did not get to second. Also, they played in the frickin' polo grounds. That's a deep center field. It's probably deep center field.
The longest ever. It's the longest ever.
500 feet.
Yeah. And then they slowed down the catch, and I took notice of this, and this is just so stupid. This has nothing to do with Willie Mays himself. This has to do with the structural builds, or the structure of these baseball stadiums back in the day. He is running toward a wooden wall that he's actually running to a corner. It's actually got a absolute 90-degree corner. He runs into that and he might die. And behind that wall is a building, a cinder block building with a metal staircase. So if he did just happen to run through the wall and be safe, then he's going to run in to a graded metal staircase. Okay. Padding wasn't around back then. Like, we didn't think about that.
I think it was part of the game, dude. They didn't give a shit.
Like you said, all the stats and stuff. Possibly the best all-around player to ever play. Debatable. I thought it was really, really, really weird that he passed away the same 2 days before the Rickwood Stadium game, in Birmingham. Which was we learned all about. That's now the oldest stadium in the country, and we learned a lot about all the racial stuff that happened down there, and how that's kind of I don't want to say the birthplace for the Negro leagues and stuff like that, but it seems like every good player that we know about from there went through that stadium and played there at some point. So. And then 2 days later, they're honoring all that all that. So I think that's
Yeah.
it's sad, but I think that's kind of cool. Now that they kind of got the tie-in honoring Willie Mays into that as well. So
That was the
And
first time
one
I
more
saw
thing to
Barry
add
Bonds on
here.
camera in
Go ahead.
forever, by the way.
Yeah.
At that Rickwood
One
Stadium.
more thing
Go
to
ahead,
add.
Brian. Sorry.
Bob Costas has been like I don't want to say he's the official spokesman for Willie Mays, but he revered him and he covered him a lot. And he did a lot of one-on-one interviews with him. And he had a story that I thought was amazing. He talked about how he was talking with a former MLB manager back in that day. And they talked about how smart Willie Mays was on the field. He was a chess player playing a baseball game. And one of the examples this manager gave to Bob Costas during the interview is he would specifically instruct his outfielders not to throw home when Willie Mays rounded third base, because Willie would strategically slow up so that you made the throw home so that the runner on first or second could advance to the next base. So he would still be safe, but he wanted to make sure that other runner, whoever got that hit, could advance and put his team in a better position to win. Thought that was a really cool story that a manager told his players not to throw home at Willie Mays.
That's something I've literally never thought about once. I've never thought about a base runner deking a fielder. That's amazing.
yeah, I've never heard that story. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. R.I.P. Willie Mays. And one of the best players in MLB history for sure, and he'll be remembered that way for the rest of forever. Edwin Diaz, moving on. Edwin Diaz suspended 10 games for quote unquote sticky stuff. He's been claiming after the game that it was rosin, dirt, and sweat, which is what he does. He goes to the rosin bag, he grabs some dirt off the mound, and he starts pitching. He's been claiming that. I think he's going to fight this 10-game suspension. Is there anything you guys saw in particular that would say that he was using sticky stuff, he wasn't, or do you think this is just kind of the umpires with the power trip, or what do you think about this whole situation?
I think, these umpires all the umpires agreed. I don't think it's like just one guy who did that weird stuff with Madison Bumgarner the one time where he never he just only made eye contact. That was the umpire being about the umpire. All of them agreed to it, or agreed that it was stickier than normal. The umpire, or maybe the umpire union in question even came out and said that this was definitely not rosin. This is something incredibly, incredibly sticky compared to what they had been seeing in the past. And these guys are checking every single game, so they would really know. And all you can really do is go off of their word because we're not out there. Now, and Brooks, if you want to say anything.
Yeah, Brian, did you see the picture of what his hand looked like? I know. So it's hard to tell. I mean, obviously, it looks bad in the picture, but it's hard to tell, if the light's bouncing off his hand, and it's making it look worse than it is. So I'm not going to judge it by that, even though by the looks of that picture, it doesn't look good. We all know that rosin, sweat, and dirt is not illegal to a certain extent, right? I mean, we remember Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer did the same thing. They gave him the opportunity to go wash his hands off, came back, kind of did the same thing, got his whatever you want to call it together again, like his rosin, his dirt, and his sweat. And it was too sticky again. And they ended up throwing him out, and he was pissed about it, and blah, 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 whatever. The reason why I don't think this is what it is because they did not give him the opportunity to go wash his hands like they did with Scherzer. I think that when he can, and he knows this because he gets checked before every time he comes in to close a game. He knows this is going to happen. He knows he's going to get checked. So there's really no excuse for it unless they were just letting this go for a while and he thought it was okay. And whoever the umpire was popped him this time. But again, I don't think this was just that because I think that they would have given him the opportunity to go wash his hands. I would think, unless this guy just had a hard on, like you said, and wanted to just ring him. And if that's so, that's bullshit. So I think he came in, they looked at it, felt it, and were like, there's no way you can get it that sticky. I think maybe he was using those 3 things and probably added in some sunscreen as well. That was a trick that people used to do for a while. So whatever. It's automatic 10 games. You should know better. Fuck it.
The umpires took their time with this too. This wasn't one of those 2 minutes and then see ya. It was they took their time. I got a question for the group, and this might be a better question for Tim when we see him next month. Does each ballpark does a team get to buy their own rosin bags, or does like MLB provide rosin bags? And are they checked before every game? I don't know the answer to that question. Just something I thought about while we're having this conversation.
I would imagine they're standardized, but I don't know for sure. So that's something that I don't know, Brooks, if you know, or maybe that's a good question to ask him. Yeah,
I feel like
we can save that.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question because I'm not 100% sure. I feel like I remember hearing something, but I'm not going to put it on record. I'm not really sure.
Yeah. Moving on a little bit, like we mentioned earlier, Yankees 3-7 in their last 10 games. This is great timing for the Orioles, who are going through a little bit of a skid. We're still 2 games back of them, so obviously it's a long season. If they were still at their crazy pace, then it wouldn't be too big of a deal. But 2 games back is a lot easier to come back from than 6 games back. And once those numbers start getting a little higher, your confidence can start wavering, and so it's good news for the Orioles that the Yankees are struggling a little bit as well. And we've got 3 weeks until the All-Star break. I can't believe it. It's almost All-Star time. I've got the list of voting for the All-Star break as it stands right now. Ryan Mountcastle has overtaken Vladimir Guerrero Jr. First baseman is number 1. Gunnar and Adley are also in first place. Santander and Cowser are 5th and 6th among American League outfielders. And Jordan Westberg is in 2nd among third basemen, behind Jose Ramirez, who we were talking about earlier. So could be a lot of orange in the All-Star game this year, which would be pretty cool to see.
All-Star games where?
Texas.
I didn't.
Did you? Man, those hats look bad, man.
I didn't. I hate the All-Star game uniforms almost every year. I think they're so stupid. I wish they would just go back to letting every player wear their home team's uniform. I think that was so cool that they used to do that, and they don't do it anymore. Yeah. But they sell more merchandise now, so follow the money, right?
World we live in.
Yeah.
So, well, I thought they were still. This might be me just not paying attention to the game as much, but I thought they were still doing like they wear the All-Star game uniform and stuff like that during like the Derby and everything leading up to it. And then in the game, they still wear their uniform. Am I not? Do they don't do that anymore?
Let me take a look.
As far as I know, and I could be completely wrong about this, but I'm almost positive they started wearing the actual American League, National League outfits, like the uniforms, for the game. And they still let the players will wear the hat, will have a logo of their team on it, but it's like the All-Star branded color hat. I could be completely wrong on this. I'm almost positive, though.
Where did these colors come from?
I don't know. I
don't make any sense.
I haven't seen them yet.
Well, let me show you.
We'll do a little bit more research on. Brooks is going to pull up the All-Star uniforms on our broadcast so you guys can see it. But yeah, I thought it was really cool back in the day seeing the guys line up and seeing which team every guy played for. If you guys don't know, listening to this, Brooks and I, our family tradition was going to the All-Star game every year. Our dad and his brother went to something like 25 All-Star games in a row. Brooks and I have been to well over a dozen apiece. And I always thought it was so cool. That is the ugliest hat I've ever seen in my life.
What is that? They usually do it after the home team's colors or something to that effect. This doesn't make any sense to me.
Did the Miami Marlins have naked photos of somebody in New Era? What the hell is that?
I know.
I don't know. I hate that.
Well,
I don't want to look at it.
At least they're not wearing the hat Brooks is wearing. All right. If they were wearing that, I wouldn't watch the All-Star game.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I haven't brought this up yet. The reason I'm wearing this hat is because a Millersville alum basically beat the Orioles on the Astros by himself, game 2 of that series, and put one on the freaking train tracks. So, shout out Chaz McCormick. I will root for Chaz when he's hitting. It just turned out I was super excited for how well he's doing, especially since he's trying to keep a job right now. I just wish he wasn't the reason why we lost that game. That really sucks. But same thing with Tim. I root for Tim when he's playing against us. I don't root for him any other time in terms of like during the game, obviously. So just don't want them to be the reason why we lose. So this is me giving a homage to Chaz.
Gotcha.
All right, we are going to move on to golf. A little weirdness at the end of the golf tournament this week. What wasn't weird was that Scotty Scheffler won, because he just does that every time he plays. It's in his 15 starts, he's got 13 top 10s and 6 wins. He's the first player since like Arnold Palmer in the 70s to win 6 tournaments before the month of July even starts. What was really cool was that he did it against what I think is his best friend, Tom Kim. They're like super close friends. Tom Kim stuck one on 18 to force the playoff, and then some crazy climate protester idiots came onto the freaking course and tried to ruin everyone's time. And luckily, the police force in Hartford, Connecticut was ready, because those assholes were out of there in 5-10 minutes, and they were putting. They didn't give a shit. So yeah, I think if you're a climate protester, that's great. If you want to talk about the climate in appropriate situations, but if you're the kind of person who's going to go out on the golf course and try to ruin a tournament that's worth millions and millions of dollars, then you can go fuck yourself. I think you're just like one of the worst people on the planet. You're a fucking loser. Grow up. If you want to protest, do it in a way that doesn't affect everyone else's lives. Maybe think about other people other than yourself. So yeah, I think you have the right to protest for climate change or climate, whatever you want to do, climate reform, but don't be a fucking asshole about it.
2 things. One, Scotty Scheffler and Tom Kim have their birth dates are the same, not the same year, but same month, same day.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then second, this is completely unrelated to golf. You ever know, like when you fall asleep and like maybe you got the TV on, like you dream about what's going on the television?
Okay.
So I had the golf channel on. They must have been discussing this. And I had a dream that climate protesters were outside of the Chaucer, and we're just standing out there. I woke up and I was like, "Oh, thank God, good." I used to have dreams.
The situation wasn't actually real.
I used to have dreams about NASCAR. I don't even join NASCAR, but I used to have dreams about NASCAR. Like they'd be talking about Dale Earnhardt Jr. on ES1 Sports Center or something. And I'd be like, "What the hell did I dream about freaking NASCAR?" Very random. Very random. Sorry, guys.
No, you're good, dude. Yeah, I just think it was super stupid.
Yeah.
Cam Young in the middle of this tournament on Saturday shot a 59. 11 under, which is I think like the 12th 59 in tour history. After that, his next 9 holes he played at 5 under. So he played, 6 under. He played a 27 hole stretch at 17 under par, which is hard to do.
And he did it.
And then
he did it with He did it with his left thumb intact.
He did it with his left thumb intact.
Fully functional marbles.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Marbles.
Other notable players who recorded top 20 finishes in this tournament: Sung Jae Im, Patrick Cantlay, Justin Thomas, Tony Finau, Brian Harmon, who's a favorite, Wyndham Clark, Shane Lowry, Xander Schauffele, Colin Morikawa. So yeah, a bunch of names that we've seen all season. Xander Schauffele is quietly, not quietly, he won a major, but he's got 11 top 10s and 16 starts. I mean, he's fucking killing it this year.
Number 3 player in the world.
Cup leaderboard, by the way.
Real quick.
Yeah, if you look at the FedEx Cup, yeah, go ahead.
Victor Hovland he's the new Jordan Spieth this year. He is here, or he is here. There's like 20 feet of shit, and then him, or he's like in the top 3.
Yeah, he's having a weird year. For a
Yeah.
guy as talented as he is, he kind of dominated the whole end of last year, and people just kind of thought he was going to go on a tear this year, and it's just been a really weird season for him.
Same for JT this year.
Yeah, JT though is collected a couple tens in the past month. I think his form is looking pretty good. I wouldn't be surprised if he played well at the British Open. He's got the kind of game that would perform well there. But if you look at the FedEx Cup standings, Scheffler is 2,500 points above Xander Schauffele, who's the number 2 golfer. Rory McIlroy is the number 3 golfer with 2,400 points. So Scheffler has a bigger margin of bigger lead over Xander Schauffele than Rory McIlroy even has points. It's pretty fucking ridiculous what he's doing. He's just destroying everyone. We talked about it ad nauseum. We don't need to talk about it much more. Next week's the Rocket Mortgage in Detroit, which Rookie Fowler won last year in a playoff over our boy Nick Taylor. So yeah, we'll see how he performs this year. Ricky Fowler with the top 20 finish this week as well. So maybe he could defend his title. That'd be cool. Other sports stuff. We'll go through this. I didn't watch much of this game just because I don't have enough available TVs to put it on at the bar I work at last night. But I did get to watch the last couple of innings. Tennessee held off a late push from Texas A&M last night to win the College World Series 6-5. They were winning 6-1 going into the 8th inning. So Texas A&M definitely put up a fight towards the end of the game. I was surprised that this is Tennessee's first national championship in baseball. Pretty crazy. Did you guys get to watch this game? Do you have any thoughts on the World Series in general? Brian, I think you watched probably the most of us 3, I would guess.
Yeah, I love the CWS. I love the College World Series. It's pure raw emotion. That being said, 2 things stuck out. Everyone's talking about the pitcher from Tennessee who looks like he was in the Civil War. If you haven't seen this guy, please, I don't even know his name. It doesn't matter because you're just so enamored with his face. And he pitches real well, by the way. Second, the reason the CWS is so amazing, and I'm gonna accent the pure raw emotion. You see the Tennessee players being in a dog pile, which, by the way, you never want to be on the bottom of a dog pile. It is not comfortable. But then you look at so they're just going nuts, and no one from the Mississippi State or from the Texas A&M team left the railing, and they looked like statues, and they just stared, and you can see the juxtaposition of emotion, or the range of emotion between the losers and the winners, and it pulls on my heartstrings every year. I would love to go, but I don't want to sit in 100-degree heat because it was 100 degrees at game time. But it was a lot of fun to watch. There was a lot of really good teams in there. I was really surprised that number 1 seed hasn't won in a while, which was kind of surprising because there's usually like a really dominant team. Yeah. But yeah, it was really fun to watch. I also will say this and we're going to segue into hockey here in a minute. It was one of the most difficult sports watching situations I've had in a while. It was like the 9th inning of the CWS. And it was like 6 minutes left in the 3rd period of the Game 7 Stanley Cup. And I don't have a last channel button, so I kept going to the guide, and it was just fucking maddening. So whoever makes remote controls, if you do not put a last channel button, shame on you. You're screwing us all over.
Hold the center button. Hold the center. Try.
You don't know what kind of TV he has.
Samsung, but I just found this out. Like a couple weeks ago. So
where were you yesterday? Where were you yesterday, asshole? All right.
Remember when we used to know channels? Just memorize the channel numbers, dude.
So I just realized this on YouTube TV on mine, and YouTube TV. I have a Samsung TV, and there's a back button, but it just takes you back to the menu. Yeah. And I literally had to look it up. You just hold the center select button and it takes you back to the last channel you were looking. And I'm like, I've had this for fucking 3 years now, and I just figured this out like 2 days, like 2 weeks ago.
Something you could have Googled 3 years ago, and it would have made your life so much easier.
But why don't you make a last call button? Just make a fucking last call button. How difficult is that? You have all these other useless buttons that we never use.
Like you have the back button with the arrow, but I know what you're saying. Like it takes you to the menu, and I'm like, this is stupid.
Okay, before we go on to hockey,
give me a closed captioning button.
By the way, how do we get here? You said last call. I had a regular come in last night to Green Turtle and told me this idea he had where instead of an open sign on your bar, you have a traffic light, and it's green when you're open, it's yellow when you're about to close, and it's red when you're closed. And I thought it was a really good idea. Yeah. I think if I ever open a bar, I might do that.
See, this is why this podcast. This is why this podcast is great, because
trademark.
How the fuck did we get here? We're talking about Tennessee winning the College World Series. Now we're talking about remote controls and streetlights. Yeah.
We're off the rails. Edmonton Oilers comeback thwarted by the Florida Panthers in Game 7, guys. The Oilers were down 3-0. They forced Game 7. Connor McDavid just went absolutely bananas for a couple games in the middle of the Stanley Cup Finals. And Florida was just able to hold them off last night. They both scored early in the first period. I watched almost all of this game. A lot of just defensive, very conservative hockey for the middle part of the game, and then Florida was able to get one in the third and just kind of tighten down after that. Rogers, you watched some of this game you were talking about. What did you see specifically?
I obviously we're avid baseball fans. I don't think there's anything better than a Game 7 in hockey for the Stanley Cup Final. I think that is the most. You don't even need to sell it. It sells itself. I mean, there could have been no commentators, and I would have watched this. I loved every single second of this game. Two teams that really fought hard. Ton of men with red beards, ton of redheaded men on the ice. And I know they grow the beard out every year, but it's a ton of redheaded dudes. And as a guy who dates a redhead, I notice this a lot more now. But it was just a great game. And once again, that pure emotion that we talked about in the College World Series, same thing. Now, in the College World Series case, those kids could just leave the dugout and go away. In hockey, you don't have that luxury because you got the handshake line. I think that is one of the best traditions in sports.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's so cool. They just put their shit aside. No matter if they were fighting the whole series or whatever, pissed off at each other, they just at the end that handshake line at the end just seems like it's all respect. Just maybe some more words for certain people than others. So
yeah.
You could teach Sorry, I know my Wi-Fi is janky here. Am I good?
You're good. Go ahead. Right. Yeah, go ahead.
You could teach a kid how to properly shake someone's hand by watching those lines at the end of playoff series in hockey.
Yeah.
And I even think
Bobrovsky.
I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off, Dusty. Going back to Cal Ripken and Ryan Ripken, I just talked about a handshake. I'll never forget this. And I don't know why this just popped in my head. I remember Cal Ripken talking about how his father taught him how to shake a person's hand. You shake their hand and you look them in the eyes. And I just thought about that. And Ryan Ripken being a friend of the show, shout out to your dad for making me think of that when I was a young kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Ryan. Shout out to the Ryan Ripken show as well for giving us a shout out on his show the other day too. So, looking forward to when we get up there, we can collab with them a little bit more. I think hopefully we can come up with some fun stuff with them. So
yeah, big thanks, guys. Big thanks, boys.
Yeah. Congratulations to Bobrovsky, which I've now said 3 times because Brian doesn't know how to let other people talk. He was the goalie for the Flyers forever, and he's been a goaltender for I think a really long time in the NHL, and it's good to see him get his first cup. Connor McDavid wins the Conn Smythe, which is the playoff MVP award. The hockey playoffs don't have a finals MVP, or they may, but it's not a big deal. The hockey playoffs have a playoff MVP, which I think is better in general. And yeah, McDavid was totally deserving. He's only the 6th player in NHL history to ever win this as a loser. in the Stanley Cup Finals. He had 34 assists and 24 playoff games, which broke Wayne Gretzky's record. That's absolutely outrageous. And he's only the second skater to ever win this award. All the other guys were all goaltenders. The last guy was Reggie Leach of the 76 Flyers. Yeah, he just has a ton of numbers that are up there with Wayne Gretzky and Mario Lemieux, who are two of the greatest hockey players of all time. Wayne Gretzky, obviously, probably being one of the greatest athletes of all time. So whenever you're getting mentioned in the same sentence as him, you're pretty freaking good. Yeah. Just I love watching playoff hockey. I didn't get to watch a ton of the early part of the series, but I did watch the last couple games, and they were electric, like Brian said. So. Playoff hockey. Thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
What do you
By the
guys-
way, we forgot to do that. Yeah. We forgot to do That's a Shame. My That's a Shame goes to those climate protesters. Fuck those guys. I'm glad you're going to jail.
Yep. Brooks, go ahead, bud.
Anybody else got one?
My That's a Shame is this week. I don't think I sent this to the group chat, but apparently there was a guy that called into 105.7 The Fan this week and criticized our GM and his drafting and was 100% serious. His quote was 5 drafts in and he's only really given us Adley, Gunnar, and Westberg. What? What? First of all, if that's all he's given us, that's still incredible. I mean, that's not to add to like Ortiz, Stowers, Norby, Mayo, Kerstad, Kauser, Holiday. I'm forgetting people.
Grayson
I'm
Rodriguez.
Sure. Grayson Rodriguez.
That person lives in his mother's basement and was calling from a landline. He has no wherewithal about anything.
That comment made me embarrassed to be an Orioles fan. I hope he's not, whatever he's saying to anybody is making it to anybody's ears ever again.
No, that
you
person's
can
a moron.
Yeah, I don't know. That might have been like a Buster only burner account or something. Fuck that guy.
No, it was on 105.7 The
caller,
Fan.
It's a caller, yeah. God.
And my timeline blew up. Everyone just kept saying that's a football fan for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have fun. My That's a Shame deals with our podcast a little bit. We shoot from the cuff, but because we're very small, we got 7 people watching right now. Thank you to you guys. Yeah, and we're still learning this business. My That's a Shame this week goes to JJ Reddick. I think authenticity in the sporting or the professional sporting world has overtaken professionalism. You can't just go out there at a press conference and start dropping the F-bomb, saying, I don't give an F. You are a professional basketball coach. We're a bunch of jabberwockies sitting in our living rooms or our basements or whatever, talking to our friends. This is a man who's getting paid millions of dollars and is going out and just cussing and everything. But what is his like mother think? Like, you just got like the biggest job of your life. He comes off as condescending as hell, and he's just going out there throwing profanity-laced stuff. Nice first impression. Now, if you're trying to set a tone, okay, but we don't got to go that way. So I just think authenticity, or like the wow factor, like the pop factor, using profanity has overtaken professionalism in professional sports.
So he did that in his like welcome to LA like press con, like, yeah.
His introductory press conference yesterday or Sunday, in the last 2 days.
I think if you're going to set that tone, I think that's okay to do in the locker room behind closed doors with your team. If you want to use that kind of language and set that kind of tone, but if you're in front of the media and you just got hired, I think that's a little bit. I think that's not your best look.
That's not.
So yeah, I agree with you.
Not the time to do it. Do I care about him cussing and all that stuff? Like I understand when it's like in the emotion of something, or
After a
during
tough
a
loss or
speech.
something like that.
Yeah, like or you're trying to send a message during the season or something like that. But like your introductory press conference should be pretty buttoned up, I feel like Brian said. Like I could care less if this happens any other time because this is how to quote Pat McAfee show, this is how humans in the real world talk. Um
Yeah.
but your introductory press conference, not the time to do it.
Yeah, for the most storied franchise in basketball history, maybe in American sports history.
Mhm.
And
um,
there are people on both sides of the fence here. They're like, that's awesome. Like he really cares. And there's other people who are like, comes off as a condescending asshat because he just wants to come out there and make those statements. So, I mean, look, I have a potty mouth. All right, I have a potty mouth. I know it. It's not for my lack of intelligence. It's how I was raised. But I'm not going to do it in front of teaching a bunch of kids in high school. And I'm just using that as a reference because I used to teach high school. I'm not going to go in there and start effing everything. It came off very poor.
Yeah.
Agree.
While we're talking about the NBA, just real quick, Boston Celtics won their 18th NBA title. We're not huge basketball guys. We were just talking about a little bit of basketball, but good for the Celtics. They were the best team all year. I'm kind of a closet NBA fan. I watch a ton. I listen to a ton of sports podcasts on basketball. So yeah, it was really fun. They were the best team all year, and they deserved to win. And also RIP Jerry West. Jerry West, one of the most influential basketball players of all time, the logo, and one of the most influential front office executives of all time, was with the Lakers organization for a million years. So RIP to Jerry West, another one of those sports legends that we've lost in the past couple of weeks. And condolences to his family and everyone around him. We're going to go into the final segment today, which is our snake draft.
Sorry, real
and this is going to be fictional athletes. Brian's got something to say, though.
Yeah, sorry, I had a work text come through that was important. So I didn't get a chance to say anything about Jerry West. Jerry West, what a gentleman! What a gentleman! The logo, great impact on basketball from every. Dusty, if I'm repeating some of the stuff you said, my apologies, because I was not paying attention. Just probably the best career of anyone in basketball, all encompassing between what he did to run organizations, build organizations, and as obviously as a player. The crazy story about Jerry West is that he used to sleep with a shotgun underneath of his pillow because he was afraid that his father would continue to beat his mother. And he went to his father one time and said, "If you touch her again, I will shoot you and I will kill you." And that is a nut story. This is when he was in high school. So he was a tough son of a gun. He never really got to enjoy the winning. He always thought about the losses. And that's something he's admitted. And apparently a great golfer.
More than I could say about
Should see
us.
my neighbor, the accountant. Probably a great golfer. Huge ass.
Huge ass. Yeah, so sorry about that.
All right. Yeah. You're good, dude. RIP Jerry West. Apparently he had a lot of demons he went through, but yeah, he was one of those guys who never could enjoy the win, was always thinking about the next one and if they were going to lose. Hopefully he's at peace. Like we said, same thing with Willie Mays. RIP to the legends we've lost. And Brian's got his finger up.
Yeah, apparently Jerry West was not. What was the Laker docuseries? It was a show. It was actors. Called Showtime.
Winning. It was called Winning Time. Winning Time.
He was not very happy at all with how he was portrayed in that. Like they made him to look like an angry person, and it seems like maybe he was back then, but in his later life, he was a gentleman, an absolute gentleman.
I remember when he came out and said like he wasn't happy with how he was portrayed, and then I heard multiple people also come out and say like, "Well, Jerry, you were kind of a hothead, especially when we lost." So I mean, you cannot be happy about it all you want, but you're a little bit of a hothead. You didn't like to lose, so.
Yeah, let's
right.
also mention that series was created and produced by Adam McKay, who also created and produced the movie Step Brothers. So let's just take that series with a grain of salt. It's not actually an accurate representation of what happened. But yeah, anyway, our snake draft is fictional athletes, and I'm going to lead us off here because I won the poll last week because I am, I guess, the guy who knows the most about chips. And I think I know the most about fictional athletes too. I'm rocking the Shane Falco jersey, and I'm going to take Shane Falco number 1 overall because he is the greatest athlete of all time. And Keanu Reeves played a quarterback from Ohio State in 2 separate movies, Point Break and The Replacements.
Does he like Ohio State?
I don't like Ohio State, but I love that movie.
I'm going to go with my number 1 overall pick.
Shane Falco.
Shane Falco.
Shane Falco. My number 1 overall pick is going to be Ricky Bobby.
Wow.
Whoa.
A complete curveball.
Because you know what?
Wow.
I thought you were going to go with somebody with the same initials.
Yeah.
But wow, that's
okay.
Ricky Bobby. I mean, he's great. I mean, sponsored by Wonder Bread.
All right. Well, before I make my 2 selections, I would like to thank the voters for listening to me last week. You made me dead last again. You gave me 1 freaking vote. Dusty had 15 and Brooks had 9. But thank you for listening to me. I know you guys hate me. That's totally fine. I will play the villain card. I know I've won 3 of these 4 drafts, and you just don't like me. That's fine. I'm going with Ricky Vaughn as my first selection.
The wild thing.
And I will then go with Rocky Balboa.
Yeah. If I was being, I think if I was being objective about this, I think I would have probably picked Rocky Balboa, but I'm the biggest Shane Falco fan in the world, so there you go.
Yeah.
Brooks, you're back up.
With my pick, I'm going to go with my favorite movie of all time in terms of a sports movie, Billy Chapel.
Billy Chapel, I knew it.
How did I leave him on the list? Oh,
Billy Chapel used to throw the ball to Gus Sinski for the Tigers back in the day.
And who was Gus Sinski?
John C. Reilly.
John C. Reilly.
Who was also in Step Brothers.
Will Ferrell's
and Ricky Bobby.
And Ricky Bobby, yeah.
That's been in a lot of stuff. Okay, I've got so many places I can go here, but I'm going to take Benny the Jet Rodriguez as number 2. Just absolutely dominated every competition in that movie. Still home plate for the Dodgers. And do I want to stick with baseball or do I want to go off kilter here? I'm going to stick with baseball, and I'm going to take the Wonder Boy Roy Hobbs from The Natural. Yeah, I think he completely destroyed the shit out of a light.
Streaky hitter.
Games.
Streaky hitter. Liability.
Was a little bit of a streaky hitter.
All right.
Can be a liability.
I will go with.
It's not your turn.
Sorry.
Not your turn.
Got so excited.
Don't you take
well, I could take one of your 2. I am gonna go. I mean, I'm gonna stick with a baseball movie again and stick with the same actor, Crash Davis.
Yeah, I know it.
Wow. It's going to be a Kevin Costner team for him.
Yeah. All right.
That was
what I was
one
going
of
with
the 2?
next. Yeah. I will go Billy Madison.
Billy Madison?
Oh, I'm sorry. Happy Gilmore. Holy moly.
Billy Madison would have been a terrible athlete.
Well, no, if throwing pickles against a window is
Yeah.
athletic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fine
So
athlete.
Happy Gilmore, and I'm going to go to the golf world again, and I'm going with Shooter McGavin.
What? He's taking two guys from the same movie back to back.
Wild.
Oh man, I thought he was
Wild
going to take
pick.
the third Kevin Costner act.
No. I guess I got to go away from Kevin Costner, don't I?
You don't have to, dude. There's a a guy who's really good with a 7-iron still available.
Nope, don't want that guy. Give me Jackie Moon.
Holy shit, he's got Will Ferrell and Kevin Costner only.
Wow.
Oh man, you could have taken Monix. He was traded for a washing machine.
I need a player manager coach.
Okay,
Player
well,
owner
if you want to
coach.
win, put Booby in. Give me Booby Miles from Friday Night Lights.
About to spin, coach.
And then
I'm gonna
with
knock some
my
fools out.
last
When Booby
pick-
knocks some fools out, I'm gonna do it with black Nikes on my feet.
Oh man, I'm between two people, and they're both in the fighting MMA world. I'm gonna go with Apollo Creed.
Okay.
I think physically imposing.
Do I have one
I like
left?
that list.
Well, Dusty closes out here. His draft.
Yeah,
I closed it out. I just did it. I did Booby
just
Miles
did.
and Apollo
Oh
Creed.
yeah. Sorry, I'm watching an update right here on the live.
No, you're good. You're good.
Give me Forrest Gump.
Good one.
Wow.
People forget.
As a runner, a football player, a ping pong player.
People forget multi-sport
pretty elite.
athlete. Multi-sport
Yeah.
athlete. Olympian.
Himbo-
Olympian
Himbo
Forrest
Jackson
Gump.
and Airbud.
All right. Got to go with him. Danny Noonan.
I like it.
Wow. Noonan?
Noonan.
Not Ty? Oh, man.
No.
All right.
I even thought
I
going
don't even
Carl
know.
Spackler.
How do you spell Noonan?
Noonan.
That's what I tried.
Wow.
That's what I did. Danny Noonan from Caddyshack. Wow. Let's go through some honorable mentions.
Who wants to lead it off?
Go ahead, Dusty.
I'll go ahead. My other guy that I was between him and Apollo Creed is Tommy Conlon from Warrior. That's Tom Hardy's character. He's a fucking animal. I've got Rod Tidwell for Jerry Maguire. I've got Danny LaRusso from The Karate Kid. I've got Bobby Boucher from The Water Boy. I've got Willie Mays Hayes. I've got Paul Wrecking Crew. I've got Air Bud. I've got Darius Bannock, who is the best Jamaican sprinter of all time turned Jamaican bobsledder. And I've also got Henry Rowan Gardner, otherwise known as Rosenbagger.
God knows.
Also, no love for Chet the Rocket Stedman either.
He's on my list. Chet Stedman.
Oh,
I have Chet Stedman. I have Nuke LaLoosh. Billy Hoyle from White Man Can't Jump. We Need a Mighty Duck. Fulton Reed is on this bad boy. Pedro Serrano. And his real name isn't this, but he is a real athlete. And he was a real athlete. Jimmy Chitwood.
Who?
okay. Who's that?
Who? You live in the town that Jimmy Chitwood played basketball in the movie Hoosiers.
Oh, Hoosiers. Oh.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's a movie
that
I haven't
move-
seen. So
That movie doesn't hold up.
I need a week off.
Brooks, you got any honorable mentions we didn't say?
I do. We all know the best player on the Mighty Ducks was Adam Banks.
Yeah.
Cake Eater. Also, I got Nigel Gruff.
He's wired.
Nigel the Leg Gruff. Not to be fucked with. And I got two more. I got Thad Castle. If anybody's watched that show, man was a beast.
Wow, great. Blue Mountain State.
Man was a beast. Captain. And last but not least, I got Louis Lasik, Big Louis from the Remember the Titans.
Ooh, Louis Elastic.
I like that.
There's so many good ones.
So we'll go through this one more time. My draft was Shane Falco, Benny the Jet Rodriguez, Roy Hobbs, Booby Miles, and Apollo Creed. Brooks's draft was Ricky Bobby, Billy Chappell, Crash Davis, Jackie Moon, and Forrest Gump. And Brian's draft was Rick Vaughn, Rocky Balboa, Happy Gilmore, Shooter McGavin, and Danny Noonan. I also want to mention Dottie Hinson from A League of Their Own. She dominated that league for a long time. And she dropped the ball on purpose at the end of the game.
Yes, she did.
If you agree with me or not? She absolutely dropped that ball on purpose. You guys have anything else you want to shout out? Anything else you want to talk about before we go off air today?
No. Enjoy your week, guys. Are we rock and rolling Thursday?
Yeah. So Thursday we're gonna do some little preview on potential Orioles trades and stuff like that. We're gonna have a couple guys on that are pretty knowledgeable on that, and a couple other shout outs. Shout out to the Chaucer and Pig for being our sponsors. First sponsors that we've had on the podcast, and then one other shout out Brian brought to our attention that some people in Canton had between somewhere around Decker and what was it, Hudson? Decker and
3,000 block of Hudson and 900 block of Decker here in Canton, Baltimore, where I reside currently, and Dusty and Brooks are very, very familiar with. Little fire overnight, 2:30. No one harmed. Don't know about any animals. Hopefully none. But no people were killed, which is good.
Yeah, shout out to them. Hopefully they'll get back on their feet.
8 or 9 homes went up in flames yesterday.
Yeah.
Hopefully. So,
scary shit.
Yep.
Scary
That's
shit.
all.
Yep.
That's all I got for today.
All right, guys.
I got one other thing. Somebody brought. I didn't know, Brian. I didn't know you knew Ligma.
Who?
Lick my balls, bitch. Have a good one.
Ah!